Hello there, music and tech heads. It's your host, Nano, tuning in this fine Friday, May 16th, 2025. And you know what that means? It's time to dust off a gem from the archive, something that's been buzzing again lately. Got a cool one for y'all today? The title is Automatic Music Transcription using Convolutional Neural Networks and the Transient Transform. Yeah, another mouthful, I know. The curl is, well, it's one of those long academic ones. From the workshop proceedings. But the gist is, it's all about teaching computers to listen to music and write it down. So what's the big deal? What problem are they trying to solve here? Well, it's called Automatic Music Transcription, or TAB for short. Basically, you feed it into an audio recording, say of a piano piece, and it tries to figure out all the notes being played. Like, when they start high or low they are. It's super tricky, especially for what they call polyphonic music. That's just a fancy way of saying music with multiple notes, or playing at the same time, like chords. Imagine trying to pick up every single note in a complex piano solo by ear. Alright? Right? Yeah, computers find it tough too. The sounds are blend together, harmonics mix with each other, and it's like there's a ton of perfectly labeled music data lying around for them to learn from. So, how do these researchers, Delani Nopten Banbaku, tackle this beast? Their plan involves a processing pipeline, series of steps. First, they take the piano audio, which is usually in a DAW file. They use something called the Transient Transform, or HTOT. Oh, this is pretty neat. Cut basically turns a sound into a kind of picture, a kind for any representation. It's clever because we mirror how our human ears perceive pitch, so notes that are an octave apart look similar. In this lecture, then this music gets fed into a Convolutional Neural Network, a CNN. You've heard about recognizing cats in photos. That's often a CNN at work. So I'm using that image recognition power to spawn musical notes. It's like the CNN learns to see the patterns of notes. And these data images, and get this, because good training data is scarce, they actually generated their own synthetic piano music, complete with individual notes and chords to teach their system. Smart move. They also did this cool thing where they decided to ignore frames of audio that were too quiet. You know, like when a note is almost faded away, and that actually made the system better. So did it work? How well can this thing actually hear the music? Well, their best model, which they called Holistic Fuji, that's the one that ignored super quiet bits. It achieved an accuracy of 92.5%. That's pretty solid, I'd say. It means for a given short snippet of music, it got all the notes right over 92% of the time. They did notice it sometimes got a bit muddled during transitions, like when one chord is changing to another. The hey, that's understandable, sounds overlap. It also sometimes thought a note was still playing when it had just ended because piano sounds linger, you know? Now, how does this stack up against other ways of doing this? Older methods, like non-intuitive matrix factorization, or MEF, were used. They're good for separating sounds, but neural networks like NENs are generally more powerful these days. And there are neural network approaches too. Some used recurrent neural networks, which are good with sequences or even fancy chombos of different networks. Google Brain, for example, had a really complex model, using lens for Sparta when notes start, in those runs, which are a type of run to figure out how long they last. This paper's approach is a bit more straightforward, focusing on that CNN and that combo. It's interesting because some other studies apparently seem too impressed with the mass performance. They hear what their CNN, it seems to have done the trick. Okay, so this is cool academic stuff, but what about us? In the real world, how could this check automatic music transcription? actually be useful? Oh, I can think of a few things. Easy. First, imagine music education app that listens to a student playing piano, and bam, it shows the sheet music on screen, or even highlights mistakes. This tech is like the engine for that. Learning songs by ear can become way easier. And then there's music production and remixing. Say you find an old recording, but the sheet music is long gone. You could feed it into a system like this, get a MIDI version of the music. MIDI files are like digital sheet music, super easy to edit, change instruments, make a whole new remix. Like, love that piano line, but let's hear it. And a funky synth. And for all you gamers, think about interactive music games. You know, like Rock Band or Guitar Hero, or for piano. This tech could let games create new levels from almost any piano song automatically. Or in music creation games, it could analyze what you're playing and react in cool ways. It could also help musicians study old unwritten music or help preserve musical traditions. And for musicians who compose by note but can notation, this could be a game changer for getting their ideas down. So what's next for these researchers? They're not done yet. They mentioned wanting to use real piano recordings for training. Not just their synthetic stuff. What would make the system even better at handling the nuances of actual performances, and they're thinking of trying out currents. Those recurrent neural networks I mentioned, because runs are really good at understanding sequences, like how notes flow together in a melody. That can make the transcriptions even more accurate, especially with timing and flow. So here you have it, teaching computers to understand the language of music, one note at a time. Pretty fascinating stuff, right? It's all about turning those sound waves into something a computer can read and well appreciate. Alright, that's our tip into the dives for today. Hope you found that as interesting as I did. This is my note signing off. Catch you on the flip side.